Previously on Maplestory the novel, Sacred Tears.
I haven't been able to pinpoint what exactly happened.
Yet you seem unaffected.
Perhaps direct contact with darkness is what makes it so much more dangerous.
Maybe they're ready for another trick.
Hey, how come you aren't afraid of us?
We are...
And now the continuation of Chapter 9, Part 3.
What?
The green-eyed being hissed before the blue-eyed being turned to Dane to ask a question.
What are you doing here, human? Guwaru has charged us with keeping our forest safe.
No, he didn't. You made that up.
The green-eyed being shot.
No, I didn't. This is our forest. You can't simply come here and claim it as your own.
The blue-eyed being growled, lowering its brow to a scowl.
Do you even claim ownership of the darkness that permeates it?
Dane asked. The blue-eyed being was taken aback.
Darkness? Yes. We claim that darkness is ours too. You can't come in here to take it.
The green-eyed being shot wide-eyed stares back and forth between Dane and the blue-eyed being, until Dane laughed heartily.
What's so funny? You think we can't own something?
The blue-eyed being growled. The green-eyed being became worried, remembering the feeling that always seemed to hang around this human. That feeling wasn't here, but perhaps he was just hiding it somewhere and would use it on them. They had both seen how easily he tore through those other beings with the purple eyes.
No, I do not doubt that. But I don't think you can claim ownership of the darkness in its entirety. It exists everywhere. Even within our very presence, it exists. It may very well exist in Guwaru's forest.
The blue-eyed being backed down from its hostile stance, raising an eyebrow and speaking low to the green-eyed being.
This human's strange.
Dane chuckled once more and held out a hand to them.
You beings are equally strange, I would say. You are so much more than a mass of pain and anger, and I would very much like to visit this Guwaru you speak of.
The beings looked at each other. They had always scared humans away for a good laugh, but now one of them was talking to them, and even asking to meet someone they held in authority, despite their dislike of him.
Come here tomorrow.
The blue-eyed being said sharply, turning and floating back into the forest, followed soon after by the green-eyed being.
What are you doing?
That human is meddling so much here, and he's no fun. If we bring Guwaru, perhaps he can scare him away.
Now, what is this about meeting someone new to? I cannot be away from the forest too long, you know.
Guwaru grunted, his arms creaking with each movement he made.
It's a weird human that has moved into the forest. He's chased us and swatted at us, calling us monsters.
The blue-eyed being snickered.
Yeah, he even said that he'd send a bunch of other humans after us if we stopped him.
The green-eyed being added.
And what was he doing that he would chase you?
Guwaru asked, his raspy, gravelly voice echoing for a while, leaning over to better look the two of them in the eye. The green-eyed being stuttered, trying to come up with a reason.
He was, he was,
He was cutting down trees to burn them for his campfires.
The blue-eyed being shouted. The blue light within Guwaru's being and eyes faded to red.
I see. What was this human's name?
I think he called himself Dane.
Then I shall see this human and put a stop to it.
He hissed, floating off in the direction the two beings had pointed him where this human was going to be. It didn't take long for him to find the clearing where the human was, parting the trees with his broad body, speaking with a loud note.
Dane! You dare come into the forests and cut them down for your mere fires?
Guwaru thundered.
Fires? Why would I be cutting down your forest for fires? Yes, I have burned some wood, only that of fallen branches or trimmings.
Are you not the human I was sent to stop here?
I was to meet a forest guardian by the name of Guwaru. Are you he?
Dane asked with confused optimism.
I am Guwaru. Have you not been torturing my charges, the forest spirits of North and South?
Dane raised his eyebrows in surprise.
Torturing forest spirits? I would do no such thing. I'm merely here to better understand the darkness.
The red from Guwaru faded back to a calm blue color as he looked over his shoulder to the two beings peeking out from behind a tree just outside the light.
Then you are the famed white mage, correct?
Yes. What's going on here?
Dane asked with a degree of agitation.
I must apologize, white mage. It seems that I was misled. Now, what is it you wish to speak to me about? My time is limited.
Guwaru replied staunchly, fixing his attention back to Dane.
I hope to learn from you as to what those two beings are, but you have given me the answer.
Guwaru merely stared at him.
I also hope to understand the difference between them and the creatures created from darkness itself.
Guwaru grunted, holding his hands across from one another as images appeared between them.
As I said, they are the forest spirits of North and South, two amongst tens of thousands that exist in Euphoria. In the beginning, the Great Mother Minerva created many beings to inhabit this world and planted them to await the call to be awakened. Many of these beings still lay in wait for their calling within my forest. But when the darkness infected the world, these two were awakened by it and forever changed.
The image shifted to a blue and green transparent creature with 4 stubby legs and small stubby spines on its head.
They aren't hateful creatures, but they are bothersome with their tricks they play on any number of humans.
Would extracting the darkness change them back into what they were meant to be?
Dane asked.
As I said, the darkness has forever changed them. Others too have been touched by the darkness, but they weren't as fortunate to become the mischievous pests these two are. If the darkness were to be extracted, I doubt they would ever truly be what they were meant to be.
Guwaru answered, his arms creaking as they settled to his sides once more.
I'm studying the darkness to find ways of ridding it from the world, but I fear that its power is growing faster than I and my order can combat. Would you be able to lend me some more insights?
I keep the darkness away from the creatures within my forest. It requires all of my power to do so, and I fear that my power will not be enough to keep them safe in the future. Until then, I cannot leave my forest to give you the assistance you require. I do know two who can.
Guwaru growled, looking back at the blue and green-eyed beings.
I would appreciate any help offered.
Then so be it. I must return to my forest. I await your findings, White Mage. You two will assist the White Mage in any way that he sees fit as punishment for your misbehavior.
Guwaru grumbled, disappearing through the brush. The green and blue-eyed beings begrudgingly came forward into the light. The blue-eyed being lowered its eyes, and its form seemed to slump. The green-eyed being appeared to be thinking hard about something as it neared.
What's the matter?
Dane asked.
What does that mean?
The green-eyed being asked.
I beg your pardon?
When you were talking to Guwaru, you called us beings. What does it mean?
Dane put a hand to his mouth for a moment, thinking hard about how he would answer the question.
It means to feel, to experience existence, to stand on your own and recognize the world around you, to feel the world around you.
How can we stand on our own when we have no feet like you, human?
The blue-eyed being asked sarcastically.
To stand on one's own does not mean literally to stand. It is a metaphor, a representation of being independent. Though, having one's own feet does tend to change the perspective.
Dane smiled.
I mean, we also don't have hands, or faces, or even squishy bits, for that matter.
The green-eyed being added.
I suppose that all those things can make the world appear different to someone like me. Would you like to know what the world is like through human eyes? Do you desire a human form?
Dane asked. The words of Guwaru came back to him, stating how the darkness had forever changed these spirits. He had learned a great deal of transmutation magic. Coupled with his alchemic teachings from his days in Margata, he was confident he could do it.
Would it hurt at all?
The green-eyed being asked hesitantly.
I cannot say. I have never done something like this.
What are we waiting for? That sounds like fun! Let's do it!
The blue-eyed being shouted excitedly.
However, there is something that I must ask of you in return.
What is it?
The green-eyed being asked, seemingly raising an eyebrow.
You two have been affected by darkness, and as such have a very different view of it. I want you to help me understand and explore the darkness.
Yeah, whatever. Now make us into a human. Oh, and make us look the same. We always like to be together.
The blue-eyed being exclaimed, bobbing up and down in the air. Dane chuckled at the blue-eyed being's excitement.
You are going to need names if you're going to be human. I can't keep calling you green-eyed being or blue-eyed being.
What's a name?
The green-eyed being asked.
It is a way to identify you. Another way of standing on your own.
You humans are all so weird. You have so many things to make sure that you can all stand on your own. It's so confusing.
The green-eyed being said. Dane chuckled. Perhaps there were many things that humans did that were entirely redundant, but it would be interesting to teach these beings the meaning and nuances of being human.
How about this? Your name from now on shall be Lotus,
Dane stated, motioning to the green-eyed being.
and yours shall be Orchid.
He said, motioning toward the blue-eyed being.
Such pretty flower names. I like them. Would you agree? Lotus.
Orchid asked. Lotus said nothing, slowly nodding approval.
Then welcome into the company of the Order of Aurora, Lotus and Orchid.
When your fires all die out, all you know just turns to ash, and your life goes slipping, spinning into doubt. Sunshine trapped inside your heart, cold and lost and in the dark. Looking back on all this, nobody was there. Nothing left to lose. Gotta find the you that's hidden deep